National Electrical Code Section 225.30 addresses the supply of separate buildings by a single feeder or branch circuit under single management. In the situation described, the key factor is whether the detached garages are considered to be under single management with the main condo building. Since each condo is individually owned and managed, the garages associated with each condo unit are generally not considered to be under single management with the main building. Therefore, Section 225.30 does not strictly apply. This allows for the installation of branch circuits from each tenant's panel to their respective garage. It is a common practice in apartment complexes where a single entity manages the entire property to connect detached garages to a house meter. This simplifies metering and billing for common area usage. However, this approach is not always feasible or desirable in condominium arrangements where individual ownership prevails. When installing branch circuits from each tenant's panel to their garage, several factors should be considered. Firstly, it is essential to consult with the local building department to ensure that the proposed installation complies with all local codes and regulations. Local amendments to the NEC or specific interpretations may affect the permitted wiring methods and protection requirements. Secondly, security implications should be taken into account when running multiple branch circuits to the garages. Measures should be implemented to prevent unauthorized access to the circuits and equipment. This might involve installing locking disconnects or other security devices. Thirdly, the maintenance of the branch circuit should be carefully considered. Regular inspections and maintenance are necessary to ensure the continued safe and reliable operation of the electrical system. This includes checking for loose connections, damaged wiring, and proper grounding. In summary, since the condo garages are not under single management with the main building, Section 225.30 of the NEC does not prevent installing individual branch circuits from each tenant's panel to a garage. Always verify compliance with local codes, address security concerns, and establish a plan for ongoing maintenance. The most important thing is understanding how the code applies to your specific situation, and that requires a thorough understanding of how buildings are classified under the National Electrical Code. When you are talking about buildings, you need to understand the types of buildings there are. For example, is it a single-family dwelling, or is it a multi-family dwelling? This determination will change what is allowed or disallowed in many situations. Also, you will want to verify if the local municipality has adopted any additional regulations in addendum to the NEC. For instance, there might be certain requirements that all detached garages need to have a specific type of lighting or have ground fault protection or arc fault protection. These specific details can be by reaching out to the local building department. When you are speaking to the local building department, you can have a friendly conversation with them and just ask for some general guidance. You don't necessarily have to alert them about the specific project at hand. The plan reviewer will have specific requirements that must be followed, and they will be very strict about what is allowed. Plan reviewers have to make sure that all construction projects are up to the standards that have been adopted by the city or county. The electrical inspector has to verify that the plans that were approved by the plan reviewer have been followed and properly installed. You will want to make sure that you follow the instructions exactly how they are described in the approved plans. Any deviations from those plans will likely not be approved. Something you will need to think about as well is how many amps will be available in each tenant's load center. You will need to perform a load calculation to determine the maximum amount of amperage that the tenants will be using. This load calculation is an estimate of what the tenants will likely use on a typical day. You will want to consider all the appliances and lights that they have in their unit. After you add up all these loads, you will want to add a safety buffer of at least 20% to account for any unexpected usages. It would be a bad situation if the tenants were constantly tripping the breakers because there was not enough available amperage in the load center. In each of the detached garages, you will likely need to install at least one light and an electrical outlet. You might want to consider adding additional electrical outlets if the tenants are interested in using power tools. These additional power tools will draw additional amps, so you want to make sure the wiring and breaker can handle the extra load. You also want to think about what type of wiring you will be using. The most common types of electrical wiring that are used for these types of projects are non-metallic sheath cable, also known as Romex. You can also use electrical metallic tubing, also known as EMT. EMT is a metal conduit that you will pull individual wires through. EMT is more labor-intensive, but it offers better protection. When it comes to the size of the wire you will be using, that depends on the ampacity that is required. You will need to reference NEC Table 310.15 to determine the correct wire size. For a standard 15 amp circuit, you can use 14 gauge wire. For a 20 amp circuit, you can use 12 gauge wire. For a 30 amp circuit, you can use 10 gauge wire. You always want to make sure you are using the correct size wire to prevent overheating. You need to also think about the location of the detached garages and what environmental factors might affect the wiring. For example, if the garages are in a wet location, you need to use wiring that is rated for wet locations. You also want to think about how you will be running the wires from the condo to the detached garages. You can run the wires underground or overhead. If you run the wires underground, you need to use underground rated wiring. If you run the wires overhead, you need to make sure that the wires are high enough off the ground to prevent people from touching them. Furthermore, you will need to install proper grounding. All electrical circuits must have proper grounding. This helps to protect against electrical shock. You must install a grounding electrode system. This grounding electrode system is connected to a ground rod that is driven into the earth. The size of the grounding electrode conductor depends on the size of the service entrance conductors. You must use the appropriate size ground rod based on your local municipality's requirements. The most common size ground rod is 8 feet long. Grounding protects people against electric shock and prevents electrical fires. You must also install ground fault circuit interrupters. These devices protect people against electric shock. Ground fault circuit interrupters detect ground faults, and they will trip the breaker if a ground fault is detected. Ground fault circuit interrupters are required in wet locations. They are also required in bathrooms and kitchens. Another important thing to consider is surge protection. Surge protectors protect against voltage surges. These voltage surges can damage electronic equipment. You can install a whole house surge protector to protect all of the electrical equipment in the condo and in the detached garages. When it comes to the type of electrical panel you will be installing, you will want to install a panel that is rated for the environment. If the panel is installed outdoors, you will need to install a panel that is rated for outdoor use. Outdoor rated panels are designed to withstand the elements. They are also designed to prevent water from entering the panel. You can also install a panel that is rated for indoor use. Indoor rated panels are not designed to withstand the elements. They are also not designed to prevent water from entering the panel. You must also install the correct overcurrent protection. Overcurrent protection protects against overloads. Overloads occur when the current exceeds the ampacity of the wire. Overcurrent protection devices include circuit breakers and fuses. Circuit breakers are reusable. Fuses are not reusable. When a fuse blows, it must be replaced. When a circuit breaker trips, it can be reset. The size of the overcurrent protection device depends on the ampacity of the wire. You must use the correct size overcurrent protection device to prevent overheating. In addition, you will need to install the correct type of wiring devices. Wiring devices include switches, receptacles, and light fixtures. Switches are used to turn lights on and off. Receptacles are used to plug in electrical equipment. Light fixtures are used to provide lighting. You must use the correct type of wiring devices for the application. For example, you cannot use an indoor rated switch outdoors. You must use an outdoor rated switch outdoors. Furthermore, the wiring must be protected from physical damage. The wiring must be protected from physical damage to prevent electrical shock. You can protect the wiring by running it through conduit. You can also protect the wiring by installing it in a protected location. You should also ensure that the electrical system is properly labeled. The electrical system must be properly labeled to identify the different circuits. You can label the circuits by using a label maker. You can also label the circuits by using a permanent marker. The label should be clear and easy to read. You want to also obtain all necessary permits. You must obtain all necessary permits before you begin work. You can obtain permits from the local building department. The permits will ensure that the work is done in accordance with the code. The building inspector will inspect the work to ensure that it is done properly. The building inspector will also ensure that the work is safe. It is important to hire a qualified electrician. You should hire a qualified electrician to perform the electrical work. A qualified electrician will be able to ensure that the work is done properly. A qualified electrician will also be able to ensure that the work is safe. You should ask the electrician for references. You should also check the electrician's license to ensure that it is valid. It is important to follow all safety precautions. You should follow all safety precautions when working with electricity. You should never work on electrical equipment while it is energized. You should always turn off the power before working on electrical equipment. You should also wear safety glasses and gloves. It is important to have a fire extinguisher nearby. You should have a fire extinguisher nearby in case of an electrical fire. You should also know how to use the fire extinguisher. It is important to know what to do in case of an electrical emergency. You should know what to do in case of an electrical emergency. You should know how to turn off the power. You should also know how to call for help. It is important to stay safe when working with electricity. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, you should hire a qualified electrician. Safety is always the #1 priority when working with electricity. You should always take precautions to protect yourself from electrical shock.